So Femi and I have talked a bunch about Minnesota, right? The last month or so on the show. Minnesota took a while. Their words, not mine, although it's pretty easy to tell it's the case, right? Took them a while to gel after the trade right before the season started. Karl Anthony Towns to the Knicks for Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo. And it looks like that's happened. A top 10 team, net rating, offense, and defense. They're awesome. Took down the Nuggets last night. Now, critics of Minnesota will point to what happens at the ends of games with Minnesota. I think it's a fair criticism, right? Think about what happened. Like here's Julius Randle. Ant gets doubled at the end of regulation. Here's Julius Randle, step back three, literal air ball. Then Jaden McDaniels air ball at the end of overtime. Because Ant gets doubled, and it's like, do you trust anyone on Minnesota to beat you? And to be fair, if that's going to be what I say about Oklahoma City, then we have to talk about it with Minnesota, right? Ant's awesome, obviously. But double him at the end of a game. Can someone else on Minnesota beat you? I think I'm in the minority here. And I'm going to get Femi's thought on this in a moment. I want everybody to think about this. And I think that everybody is going to disagree with me on this. Come playoff time. And I'm a Knicks fan saying this. So maybe you take this with a grain of salt. Because I am a little biased in this regard towards these players. I believe it. So if it's Wolves, Thunder in the first round, I'm biting the bullet and I'm betting Minnesota in that series. And I'm going to be anti-Thunder in this playoffs, and maybe it costs me dearly. Maybe what Drew Dinsick, the whale capper, said on the show yesterday, maybe this is a historic team and they coast to a championship. I'll pay to see it with Oklahoma City, with the second best player being a guy that has never done anything in the playoffs in Jalen Williams. I think that when it comes down to it, in a big spot, Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo are going to come through. DiVincenzo is a dog. The Knicks are going to miss him in the playoffs. Look at what he did last year. He's a money, big-time performer when the lights are brightest and the pressure is highest. And I think Randall's going to step up to the plate as well. Again, I got a Knicks thing in my background here for people watching on video. I got it off Etsy. It was like $20. Looks like it's more expensive than that, right, for the people watching. It was literally like $20. Etsy, what a great website, by the way. So you want anything in the world, you type it and they've got it for you. And it's all like $9. Love it. Anyway, they should sponsor the show. So maybe I'm a little biased towards these guys because they're former Knicks. I'm really high on Minnesota. And I hope, for my sake, someone who likes the Wolves, give me the Rockets, man, in the first round. Because they'll be favored in that series. Houston, you got a big-time problem if that's going to be the series. And the problem is you're going home early. I'm looking for spots to bet Minnesota. I want to be really into Minnesota. I think I'm going to be into Minnesota. And I'm going to be anti-Thunder coming up in the playoffs. Minnesota's price to win the championship is 60-1 at BetMGM. Price to win the West, 18-1. Out of any of the teams in that range, I think Minnesota's the best bet.
Back in the association, I'm not there with you with Julius Randle. I can't get there. You're a Knicks fan. You saw the playoffs with Randle, with the Knicks, when they played the Hawks in that series when Trae Young was doing his thing, trolling the Knicks crowd. He's a good regular season player, but in the postseason...
Can I give you my thought on that? Can I give you my thought? I think you'll agree with me here. So I think the issue with that Knicks team, other than the main issue, which was they weren't good. That was the main issue. Randle was what's the word that the heliocentric, the word that people use?
Yeah, he was the do everything guy, the heliocentric basketball around Julius Randle.
Like the world revolved around Julius Randle, which was fun for a while, right? Because he can't. Julius Randle is the best player on your team. Your ceiling is 4 seed losing 5 in the first round, which they did that year. He's not the best player on the team. He's probably Gobert's the second, but he's probably the third best player on the team. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, but he's the second offensive player. When we think about offensive scorers, he's definitely the second guy. But yeah, he's in a lesser role with Minnesota than he is with his days with the New York Knicks. But still, like you mentioned, he's going to be asked to make decisions in these playoff series when teams adjust. The further we get into the series, they'll have the game 1, game 2 adjustments, and then once we get to game 3 and 4, it's okay, Julius Randle, we're taking the ball out of Anthony Edwards' hands. Now you need to make the decisions as the primary playmaker, and he's not always going to be the primary guy. Minnesota will, of course, adjust the adjustments, but I I've never seen it from Julius Randle in the playoffs. That's my only issue with him in particular. As a team, I definitely think the team has high upside because defensively, when healthy, they are one of the best defensive teams in the league. And Anthony Edwards, his game is very much suited for the postseason. Like regular season, when like we're asking teams to like kind of do like the 3-point stuff and all that stuff, like playoffs, it becomes like more old school basketball where the totals are a little bit lower, mid-range game starts to kick in a little bit more. That's Ant-Man's game at its core. Like that's why he was so good last year until they ran up against the Dallas Mavericks and he had a bad series then. But like think about how he played against Denver last year and especially against Phoenix in the first round. So I think that Ant-Man could carry them to make a deep run. I run into issues with them if they have to face the Lakers or they have to face the Warriors. I do think they're actually suited to beat a team like OKC just because of their size can overwhelm OKC. Like I don't know if they would do it, but I think that's like 6 minimum. I think like that's a series that we get it in the first round or maybe it's sometime later on because like the T-Wolves right now might play themselves out of the play-in tournament based on how Memphis looks as well. But like if we ever get that series, I think it's going 6 minimum, maybe even 7. But I do believe that if they had to run up against the Lakers or the Warriors, those teams would beat them to where that's where, like, as excited as I am about the upside, I still look at those other teams and say, I like them a little bit better.
Will you be, it's a scary place to be. Will you be on my side here, like fading the Thunder to win the Western Conference? Like, I will be anti-Thunder in the playoffs.
Certain matchups, yes. I'm not going to just do it like across the board because like the numbers, and I looked at them yesterday. And I asked
like if
PJ
they play
this
the Kings
well.
in the first round, of course.
Kings in 7. No,
I think they'd be. I'd take them to beat Denver. Like Lakers, Warriors. I think I would take the Lakers and the Warriors against them.
Warriors, I would take them. Lakers, I'd probably take the Lakers as well. But like there also is the other side of the coin to where like OKC is like, they are historic. And like you mentioned Drew talking about that on Monday's show during the NBC Sports Now Power Hour. But like, I don't even think we're doing it justice how good they are. There's an argument to be made that OKC at plus 175 is the best bet right now in the NBA markets to win the title. Like they're being rated. I don't believe this. Like I never watched this team because I was too young, but like I've seen like the highlights and all that stuff. But like they're being rated like they're better than the 72 win Bulls. Like, I don't know if anybody actually believes that, but like just based on how they're being rated, they're on that tier. Better than like the 71 Milwaukee Bucks, the 72 Lakers, the 2017 Kevin Durant first-year Warriors. They're better in the regular season than those teams. So there is a chance, as much as I want to fade OKC because there's big prices on everyone else, there's a chance that in late June, we're sitting back being like, damn, I guess it was OKC this whole time. Part of me thinks that might happen, but in specific matchups with Golden State and the Lakers, I definitely want to go to war with those teams.
But you can't do that though. You know, like I love you. You can't be like this. Wow, it's the best opportunity. And be like, well, actually, I'm not doing it if they play the Lakers or the Warriors. Like, which one is it? Well, you have to pick a side.
Lakers and Warriors over everybody else for me. Warriors in particular. Warriors in particular. That's the team I have coming out the West.